Mark was 29 and lived in a constant state of apology. He apologized to his boss for being late to the morning meeting. He apologized to his friends for forgetting their birthdays. He apologized to his landlord for being short on rent. The problem was simple. Mark couldn't get out of bed. Every night he would tell himself he'd wake up at 6 a.m. to work on his freelance business. But when the sun came up, he didn't care about his business. He only cared about the warmth of his blanket. He would sleep until 9 a.m., wake up in a panic, and spend the rest of the day trying to catch up on work he should have finished hours ago. The collapse started when Mark's biggest client, a man named Henderson, called him at 8:30 a.m. Mark was still asleep. He answered the phone with a groggy, thick voice. Henderson asked, "You're still in bed, aren't you?" The line was silent for a second. "I'm paying you $3,000 a month to be my lead designer. I've been in my office since 7 a.m. If I'm working harder than the person I'm paying, I don't need that person." Henderson fired him. 2 weeks later, without that income, Mark couldn't pay his car note. The bank took the car. Then his girlfriend, who was tired of his constant excuses and his "I'll do it tomorrow" attitude, moved out. Mark sat in his quiet apartment. He realized that tomorrow had finally run out. He had no car, no main client, and no one to blame but himself. He had a debt collector calling his phone every day. He took a job at a warehouse 20 miles away. Since he had no car, he had to take 2 buses to get there by 7 a.m. This meant he had to be at the bus stop by 5:15 a.m. The first 2 weeks were hell. He wasn't motivated. He was angry. He was tired. His eyes were red every morning. But he had no choice. If he missed the bus, he lost the job. If he lost the job, he was on the street. For the first time in his life, Mark saw 5 a.m. He saw the city when it was empty. He saw other people, construction workers, nurses, and cleaners, who were already working while he used to be dreaming. He realized these people weren't special. They were just disciplined. After a month, Mark's body adjusted. He stopped feeling tired at 5 a.m. and started feeling awake. He realized he had 2 hours on the bus every morning. Instead of sleeping on the bus, he pulled out his laptop. He started taking on small freelance design jobs again. 5:15 a.m. to 6:45 a.m. He worked on his laptop while the bus moved through the city. 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. He worked at the warehouse moving boxes. 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. He worked on the bus ride home. Because he was up so early, he was finishing his freelance work before his old 9 a.m. self would have even been awake. He was doing 2 days' worth of work in one day. The result, 6 months later, Mark had saved enough money to buy a cheap used car, but he didn't go back to sleeping in. He kept the 5 a.m. habit. He reached out to Henderson, the client who had fired him. "I don't want a job," Mark told him. "I want 10 minutes of your time at 5:30 a.m. tomorrow. I'll meet you at your office." Henderson was curious. When he arrived at 5:30 a.m., Mark was already there with a coffee and a new portfolio of work. He looked different. He wasn't the groggy, apologizing kid anymore. He looked like a professional. Henderson hired his firm back on a bigger contract. Today, Mark isn't just not poor, he's successful. He owns a small agency with 3 employees. He tells them all the same thing. "I don't care how smart you are. I care if you're awake when the opportunities start knocking." He doesn't wake up at 5 a.m. because he has to anymore. He does it because he knows that the person who beats the sun beats the competition.